Some elements, like the carbon we talked about before, are considered to be multivalent elements. And when we say multivalent, what that means is they've got more than one possible valence state. If you take a look at iron, iron says that it could be charge of +2 or +3. And the question is, how do you know which one to use? And if you take a look at your nomenclature guide, this is what we're talking about on number 6 on the front, on part 1. It says the metal is a transition element or one which is multivalent. Information must be included to tell which oxidation state is present in the compound, because otherwise you don't know what it is. If I just say I've got iron oxide, is that you say, well, that could be iron +2 oxide, or it could be iron +3 oxide. Those are two completely different compounds. One is sort of reddish, the other tends to be greenish. They have different properties too. So there are two ways of doing this. There is the stock system, and stock system is what is described on number 8. It says just a Roman numeral indicating the metal's valence is placed in parentheses directly after the metal name. And so if we had, in this case, let's say we do have iron, and we have iron, and it's going to be iron -2, or sorry, +2. Can't have iron -2. It's not possible. So iron +2 here, using the stock system, that this would basically just be, you'd write it out as iron and then parentheses 2. And that looked absolutely horrible, but you get the idea. Iron 2 is how you do this in the stock system. Now, old system, and okay, well, first thing before I go on, stock system, you're going to find you only use this with cations, and so you don't have to worry about ever having like a -2 in parentheses. It's always going to work out just that way. It's always going to be a positive one for what you've got on your stock system here. So that's the stock system. That's how it works. I personally find the stock system is the easier of these two systems to use, and the fact is it is the more modern system. I mean, technically you probably ought to use the stock system if you have a choice, but there are a lot of people that still do use the old system. The old system is described on number 7. It says in the old system the ending of the metal name is changed either to us, O-U-S, indicating a smaller oxidation state, or to ic, indicating the larger oxidation state for the metal. So in this case, if we have iron 2 right here, we have Fe+2, we say which one's larger, 2 or 3, because those are the two valence states. Well, 3 is larger, so in this case it says that us is a smaller oxidation state, and so normally you'd say this would be ironous, except this is where the old system gets even more complex. Fe, that symbol for iron. Fe doesn't look anything like iron, doesn't have any F's or E's in it. The reason why is because it uses the Latin term, and the Latin word is ferrous. Or fer is the root here. And so basically, if we had iron 2 like this, it would be ferrous, is what you have here. On the other hand, if we had instead of iron 2, if we had iron 3, then iron 3 would just be for the stock system. Iron 3 like that. But for the old system, this would be ferric, because of the fact that 3 is the larger of the two valence states, and so it gets the ic ending on the end of it there. For the most part is that these Latin beginnings on these you sort of have to just have memorized, and you'll run into them periodically as we go through here. A quick way to know whether or not you have to use a Latin symbol or a Latin name on these is to look at what the symbol is. If the symbol doesn't look anything like the English word, Fe does not look anything like iron, you're going to have to use the Latin. Same thing is true for things like say, copper. Copper is Cu. There's no U in copper, and so instead it would be cuprous and cupric. And so there are things like that. Tin is Sn, no S in tin, and so tin would be stannis or stanic if you have things like that. So that's basically how you use the old system. As you can see, it's probably a lot easier to use the stock system, but you will be expected to know how to interpret from old system to a formula, even if you don't have to name it using the old system if you're given just a formula.